society. In this respect, the university constantly promotes collaborations with internal and external decision-making factors such as economic actors, authorities, national and international universities, and research institutes. More to the point, Aurel Vlaicu University strives to preserve the valuable traditions of Romanian education, at the same time tailoring them to the requirements and quality standards of other European countries. So what do we have on offer for our students? The short answer is a large array of dynamic study programs adapted not only to the demands of the economic environment but also to present scientific standards. The university now hosts 34 bachelor study programs in addition to 22 master programs. The School of Doctoral Studies offers PhD degrees in the fields of philology and theology. Divided amongst existing 9 faculties, the university's academic offer caters for most educational needs by offering competitive, modern and diverse study programs that range from hard sciences to humanities. The Faculty of Economic Sciences offers an opportunity to develop detailed knowledge and critical awareness of the main ideas, concepts, models and principles in economics and their application to the study of financial systems and institutions. The Faculty of Engineering provides a broad base of engineering knowledge. Its scientific research and didactic activities are centered around several modern laboratories specialized in computer-aided engineering, material endurance, artificial intelligence, microsystems, industrial informatics, car maintenance, and textile technologies. The Faculty of Design focuses on creative expression and innovation while fostering a learning environment productive towards product design, interior design, graphic design, and fashion design. The Faculty of Exact Sciences is centered around 2 main study areas, mathematics and computer sciences. The Faculty of Food Engineering, Tourism and Environmental Protection and its associated Center for Chemistry and Technological Research provides comprehensive academic education and research skills in areas pertaining to its fundamental domain. The Faculty of Physical Education and Sport is involved, broadly speaking, in studying and researching the art and science of human movement. Its modern sports hall affords various training, teaching and associated research activities. The Faculty of Theology pursues higher studies of the foundational texts and the development of Christianity in relation to other religions and worldviews. The Faculty of Educational Sciences, Psychology and Social Work bridges the theoretical and practical aspects of education and social sciences, while the compulsory practicum that students have to take in approved workplaces is intended to provide real-world experience. The Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences provides the optimal environment to challenge your ideas, gain language skills and cultural insight. Most faculties offer the opportunity to further one's studies by offering Master of Arts and Master of Engineering diplomas, while a few offer a path towards a PhD title. The university is also constantly involved in adding new courses to its curricula, where the sole language of instruction is English. And not only this. The university also provides high-standard support services designed to offer a fulfilling student experience, so be it that you are in need of information, advice or guidance, there is always a solution. Living in one of Aurel Vlaicu University's halls of residence will prove to be one of the highlights of your university experience, while the Students' League provides a wide range of activities meant to consolidate the university's student body. Finally, there's one thing to be restated. Aurel Vlaicu University's paramount aim is to provide high-quality, student-centered teaching and research opportunities in an ever-evolving national and international environment.
Müge Hocam duyabiliyor musunuz?
Evet, duyabiliyorum ama öbür ekranı paylaştırabilir misin?
Efendim hocam?
Şu anda şey gösteriyor, çalışma ekranını gösteriyor, pardon.
Tamam hocam.
Sesleriniz de gidiyor.
Anybody there?
Kapatın.
Hello?
Hi, Dr. Clark.
Where are you? Oh, there you are.
Just a second. Yes, that's here. Here I am.
Okay.
Hala sıkıntı var mı hocam?
Evet, var. Slide'ın altındaki 4. ikona basar mısın? O olabilir. Veya ikincisi. Yok.
Okay, are we ready?
Yes, I think so. Is it okay?
Yeah, it looks okay to me.
Can we see you as well?
Oh, you can't see me?
No, the camera is off. I think I can't see you.
How about that?
Yes, now
Okay.
here you are. Okay.
All right.
Dear all, I would like to welcome you to our keynote session. Dr. Woodrow Clark II is with us from the United States of America today. He's an internationally recognized expert, author, lecturer, and consultant on global and local solutions to climate change. His core focus is on economics for smart, green, healthy communities. And today he is with us to give a speech on the new normal in economics, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Please, Dr. Clark, floor is yours.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. And I'm going to show probably around 10 slides. And what I'll do is if anybody has any questions on any of them as I'm going ahead, I think we'll have enough time to answer those questions. But the idea would be to sort of explain, as the title of the first slide says, what the new normal is. Now, I noticed I was just watching another presentation before this where the students and faculty were like in big rooms, but nobody had any masks on or gloves or anything like that. Are you all involved or having what is called the COVID-19 pandemic? Are you familiar with how that's going a lot around the world in Europe and Asia and the United States? Are you familiar with it?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay, that's why I call this the new normal, because things aren't going to go back to where they were before. But I didn't know whether or not it's had an impact also in Turkey, I assume. Is that right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the term is quite familiar as well.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to do is start off with one slide, which is an overview of what I have been working with people here in the United States, but also in Asia and Europe. When the pandemic is over, when the time has come for it to, be under control and not spreading, because now we're having it even spreading more here in the United States, and it's becoming a very difficult thing. And I won't get into politics here in America, but it's difficult. So what's happened is that there's a concern about what's going to occur when it does slow down or does get contained or does stop. I don't think this is going to be a while. I frankly think it'll be perhaps even a whole nother year. It'll be probably the end of 2021. And I don't want to scare anybody by saying that, but it means, you're not going to be able to go on the airplanes as much. You're not going to be able to go to parties and meetings. You have to do these virtual kind of things rather than in-person conferences. So we're going to have what I refer to as the new normal. And what it is another way of dealing with finance and economics. Are any of you familiar with circular economics? Have you heard about that? Anybody? You can raise the hand. That's okay if you have. No, nobody has? Okay, well, there's one person. Good. Oh, hi. And the reason I bring that up is because I've, for the last 5 or 6 years, been working and writing about circular economics. And I have a book that's going to be coming out, I hope, early next year, but it'll be sometime soon. And the point I'm making is that circular economics is a way in which we can look at economics in a different fashion than it has been historically. And historically, it's, you know, supply, demand, and the government's an invisible hand. And that was all created in the late 19th century by Adam Smith. The reality of it is that in practice, it's not really happened that way. We hear people, and some of you may have heard some students or other faculty members say, oh, we got to do something about the supply chain here. We have to, oh, we got to, oh, wait a minute, what about the, and then people say, well, what about the government? Well, that's supposed to be an invisible hand. So what do? We go back to what we think the if you will, the theory is, or we go to something that's new in terms of the practice. And I mention that because circular economics is that, plus it adds to what can happen to people when they, to put it very bluntly, need to reuse, recycle, and also help the environment. What kinds of things can they do? So this first slide kind of takes an example of that, and it's from actually a presentation I made last June to a group in Richmond, Italy. And it was lots of business people all over European Union. And what you see here is how some things need to change. By the way, one of the biggest things is economics has got to be not just quantitative, but it has to be qualitative. And I know that from my own personal experience in publishing some books and articles about that, because we've had that kind of thing in the United States, and I see some of that now going around the world, where somebody says, oh, 1 + 1 = 7. Validated by a CPA firm? That's what we had about two decades ago when I was actually an energy advisor to the California governor, because we were getting people saying, here's the numbers, and here the accountants have approved it. And so we're going to, and of course it was fraud. And because what they were doing is manipulating the power markets in such a way that they were getting control of it, and therefore being able to put the prices up or close off the offices and their services for a month or two before they said, oh, it's only going to be a week or more, or a few. So the reality is we have to really look at what I call qualitative economics and understand the numbers, what they mean, and we have to then do, verify them. And that's one of the things I did when I was working for the governor of California, because I got our lawyers and our department to go investigate, and they found out the name of the firm. And some of you may have heard of it because it was a worldwide energy firm. And it's called Enron. Have any of you heard of that? Enron? Yeah, I see a few heads shaking. And it's because of what we legally did to do something about this, the company basically went bankrupt, and it had tens of thousands of employees who lost all of their money that they had put in for savings and other things, for the future when they retired. So it was a huge disaster, but it wasn't the only one. And if you look at this chart, you see the book on the, as you look at it on the left side, it's green. It has a title of my first book, Agile Energy Systems, which means one of the ways to kind of be prepared for this not just misunderstanding, but misuse of words and numbers, is that what we have to do is not have just general energy systems coming from a plant or being powered one way over here. We have to also make them available for people's homes, their office buildings, their schools, the universities, not just having one place where the power is coming. In addition to that, as you can see also in the middle slide there, that we need to also have green energy, whether it's from solar or whether it's from some other kind of energy system. So for example, some companies have taken, and I'll show you some examples of this before. Have any of you ever seen this? It's called thin film solar. And I don't know whether it will come on, but if the sun was out or the light was out, right up here would tell you how much energy this is generating from the sun or from the heat. There's also thin film solar that's been used for other things. Have any of you seen this kind of a flashlight where you put this in the sun and it recharges it? And so what you do is you just take it out and I pull this slide back and you turn it on. You can't see me now, right? I'm sorry about that. I'll turn it off. But the point is that just leaving this solar flashlight in the sun recharges it. And I've got a whole bunch of them actually, but I'm not selling them. Don't get me wrong, but I can tell you where to get them. But the point is that that's what we're going to have to do in terms of our culture or society in the future. We have to take things and reuse them in some way. And as you can see here, the picture on the bottom, in the middle there, that's an all solar powered car. In other words, you don't even have to plug it in to recharge it, although it has got a system that can do that if you need it. Because as you're driving around in the sun, you've got a lot of sun, I know, in Turkey, and we have in the Middle East, and we certainly have a lot of sun in California and other parts of the United States. Just driving around to and from work, you're recharging your car. And the reality of that is that that's going to be a huge change in terms of our environment, but also in terms of how things are used or displayed. And so you'll see also on the far right, that's solar panels on top of the roof of this house. So that's another way you can see it. In other words, you take the thin film solar that I showed you, and there are different ways it can be used or reused in a very productive manner. So given that, if you look at the history of, am I doing these, or am I doing the slides? No, yeah, good, okay. The history of this, it's not new news. This goes back to well over the end of the 19th century into the 20th century. And this is a guy by the name of Nikola Tesla. Has anybody heard that name before? Anybody? No? He, yeah, good. I knew there were a few people would. He is the one who really invented the idea of having energy be wireless. So you can see what he did. If you look at this slide, it's basically an event that started in the city of Chicago in the United States. And it was at night. And what Nikola Tesla did was invented to have these lights lit wirelessly from energy that would be, gotten from the sun or other, but it would be in storage or whatever to light up the nighttime view. He was actually a genius and was a really smart person because he was trying to get all of this into businesses and into cities and around the United States. But instead of that, what happened is that there are some people, and I won't mention any names, but you probably know some of these names, who invented the idea of having energy going through natural gas or going through wires, from places where it's, either gotten from in terms of, like coal, and it goes, through the ground or whatever. And the problem, of course, with that is then there's all kinds of issues that get really bad about that. And Tesla himself had done with this, and then he had the competition come and they wiped him out. And this is what often happens, unfortunately, in our world these days. In other words, when somebody is doing something different, they are taking it, very difficult because they're really going down a different road than everybody else is. And that's important. And that's what Tesla did. So that what you have now at the very bottom on the left is a guy by the name of Elon Musk. I'm sure you've heard of him, and his car, the Tesla car. And Musk himself, who was born and raised in the southern part of Africa, has then grew up in Canada and has actually formed several companies, and he's made a lot of money on it. But the Tesla car seems to now to be the big one, because there are thousands of them being built, some of which are being done in China, not too many in the United States, but in other parts of the world. And there are independent, I mean, not independent, but they're just using solar, as you can see on the top of the car before, to actually, you know, get energy for the car. And that's really made a big mark, if you will, in terms of the use of energy these days. So moving ahead, does anyone have any questions, by the way? Feel free, raise your hand or whatever. Oh, do I see a hand raised? Yes. Are you waving at me, or what? You have a question?
I don't have a question, but can you make the slides full screen sort of thing, please, so we can see them a lot better? So all we're seeing at the moment are the menus across the top and the things down the side.
I didn't set this up, so I don't know how to do. I don't know how to do that.
I mean, at the bottom of PowerPoint, there's a couple of little buttons. One
Or F5.
reading mode or something like that. No problem, but anyway.
Yes,
F5. That would be...
Pardon? All I see is like share screen, record, reactions.
Mr. Davenport, the technical people is sharing the screen right now. I told them they need to switch the screens, and they're working on it. Sorry about that.
Yeah, all you got to do is press the little button at the bottom. Yeah?
Which one?
Yeah, but
on the keyboard, please.
Yes, but it shows the preview, because they work only one single screen with one monitor. It shows the preview. That's why we just switched it.
Okay, so I won't be able to do that, huh?
Yeah, you can't do that. But Dr. Clark, if you can answer Ms. Lepkova's question, in the meantime, we can work on the screen.
Okay, and what was the question? I thought the question was you wanted to have the screen so it could be, you know, bigger.
Good morning.
What was the question?
Good morning, Woodruff. May I ask you? This is Natalia Vlepkova from Vilnius Gediminas Technical University, Lithuania. You're talking about green technologies and so on, but do you agree that green energy, not too much green because of production and utilization, all of these batteries and so on? Thank you.
Well, yeah, that's true. And the batteries, of course, are something that can really not be recycled, although people are trying to do that. But let me show you a couple of other slides that sort of put that topic, you know, right where your question is coming. So let me go to the next slide. It's in reference to the European Union. Let's see, I think I just pulled these down, right? Yeah. And the European Union got into and interested in circular economics. And in January 2015, they passed a policy about trying to do this and trying to bring it back or bring it in, and using the circular rather than linear approach to economics. And it's actually been, I understand, doing very well. There's a friend of mine who's got his MBA from the United States in Southern California, and he's Italian, and he and I have stayed in touch, and we've written articles and papers about this because he started to come across it, and he liked how my circular economics ideas, and especially a couple of books that I've written in that area, fit. And so that's one of the things that we've been doing. And he has a company called Remedia, and it takes products like, it could be your cell phone, it could be your computer, it could be your television set, it could be your radio or whatever else it happens to be. And those products have pieces to them that can be reused in many, many different ways, and then even reused after that. So let me show you a couple of applications that I think are kind of interesting. I'm moving to the next slide. Let's see how that's, yeah, there we go, okay. And here you have like the thin film solar I showed you before, like in the back of this guy's backpack. But there's a company in China that's put thin film solar on the roof of its buildings. And this is the kind of thin film it is. And then also outside the research center, this little tower is a place where the sun is shining and gets energy. Then it goes underground into the building. They also have the thin film solar right here on this bicycle. And it's on the thing, so it helps it to become an electric bicycle because it's got the ability to go and get the power right there. It's not bad. But you can see if you go to the middle slide on the bottom, these students are walking. This is on the other side of where the other picture is of that company in China called Honergy. And these students of mine, because I teach there every summer, except last summer I didn't teach there. Anyway, they're walking on a pathway that's all solar. So it's in the sun, you know, when most of the day, and it's generating power. And of course, the idea of with a backpack is the same thing. And so we have many examples of this. Then the question is, again, in terms of the new economics and what's happening next, go to the next slide. Yeah, this is actually something that I did and was in charge of about 10, 15 years ago. There are college campuses here in Los Angeles. And what I was doing was, because there was money to pay for this, putting solar on top and over parking lots. You see the one on the far left corner? That's a parking lot, and that's where the students and the faculty park their cars during the day. And they loved it because when they got out of classes at 3 in the afternoon or something, their cars had been shaded and they were cool. They weren't no air conditioning, but they were shaded because of the covering. And this campus had, in these other red areas, other buildings that had the same kind of thin film solar. And the reason I was showing it to you, because that's me up there in the picture at the top right, and I'm on the right side. And the man in the middle is the fellow from the Edison company in Southern California, and the lady there is the one who manages their marketing. And then you have all these people together because they did a big event that we had, and we were able to, you know, get the Edison people to pay for this on the campus there, which is really remarkably and a good thing to happen. It's not just coming out of owners' pockets or charging more money for something. It's actually coming from sources and people who see it as a real important step forward. So if you go to see, again, other samples of some of this, this is the next slide. Yeah, is that there are electric cars, as I said before, some of which need electric, you know, recharging stations. And in this one in particular has back here, which is featured right in this area here, are solar panels, which provide the solar or the electricity energy to this, that then you can plug into the car when you want to, you know, redo it if you need that. But the idea of having an all solar powered car, I think, is incredible. And that's something that I think is going to happen sooner than later. And I'm going to try it. So if anybody wants one, let me know. I'll get you that anyway. Then the next one is about circular economics, as I mentioned before, about my colleague in Italy, Northern Italy. And his company is called Remedia. In other words, he's making something out of trash, basically, things that are thrown in the water or in the land that people, you know, don't care about, whatever. There are pieces and parts of all of these things in the media that can be reused for other products. And in doing that, you're really doing something that's essentially part of being sustainable. And in other words, protecting our earth and our valuable things, including flowers and trees and land and the rest. So the other part of it is, if you go to the next slide, you'll see this is a company called Good Fashion, and it's in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. And what it has done is taken plastics and making a dress wear, shirts, jackets, clothing things, but also they got very involved with taking this and then going on to other things all away too. But they've got Good Fashion now coming out with these kinds of products, and I've gotten to know them pretty well, and they're incredible. They even are doing products like sneakers made out of totally plastic material, including the foot part of it. It's remarkable, and I think it's something that is worth looking at. What I do know, though, is there are a few companies in the United States who are beginning to do that. This company, of course, in the Netherlands, there are several in Europe that have started to also do it as well. Then the next slide is the new normal. And as I point out here, it's over 2 decades ago when it started, but I think because of the global pandemic, it's really going to get out and start more and more. The one thing I think which is extremely important about this is that while it's hard to see because it's blocked a little bit, you see on the far right, there are solar panels, and you can also see them on tops of buildings. But what people are also doing is having wind turbines having, power close to where these solar systems are. And when you have the wind, which does blow at night, and you have the sun, which is all during the day, you get really almost 24/7 worth of power coming from renewable sources, green energy. And in doing that, we're also seeing the energy companies beginning to move in that direction rather than just focused on solar panels or just focused on wind turbines or run of the river or any other thing like that. And you probably are all aware that, I want to see what time it is, that some people refer to clean energy. Have any of you heard that comment or concept before? Clean energy? Anybody?
Yes.
No, a couple of hands up. Okay.
Yes.
What bothers me about that term is, again, going back to my work in qualitative economics, is that it's often defined, if not totally defined, as being something coming from natural gas, even nuclear power. And the fact of the matter is, when you start looking into those areas, it's very different than looking into solar or wind or water or run of the river, whatever. And the reason I say that is because I have been working with people in California in terms of particularly government and also some ways in Washington. And what's happened is that people are talking about clean energy, and they often refer to that as natural gas. And it's not, especially the way you get natural gas, by digging in the ground or over there in the ocean or in your backyard. It's really a terrible type of thing. But there are a lot of people who really sort of support it now. And anyway, you have to just be careful about that sort of stuff. And then the last slide is there. This is, you can't see me too well, but that's me in a hydrogen fuel cell car that I was driving about 8 or 10 years ago. This is the car that I mentioned before from Honergy. This is one of their all solar powered car. This is the outside of the front of their area that I showed you before. And I remember on the ground where this is all solar. And this whole side of the building, as well as the top of the buildings, are all solar. 43% of their energy comes from solar. And I think what they're trying to do is to be totally 100% on green energy in the very near future, although there's some political stuff going on around the world, but hopefully we'll get that straightened out. So I mentioned that because while all of this is happening, if any of you want to reach me, this is my email in the United States, although it goes around the world. And I thought we'd have a few minutes anyway to have some questions. Does anybody have some questions or comments? There's a lot more here, by the way. I've written books and articles about all this stuff, but I'm trying to keep it.
Thank you, Woodrow. Yeah, we have 4 more minutes before the next session. If any of our guests have questions.
Should I ask some of you if you have questions? Who can I pick one out there?
Yes, sure.
As long as it's not me, yes, of course.
Some questions. Okay, well, let me ask some questions of some of you, okay? Are any of you familiar with circular economics?
Yes, sure.
Okay, well, that's one. I know, yeah, I know you were, but what, anybody else? No hands are raised? No?
I'm at the very beginning of the
have any of you heard of, let's say, traditional Adam Smith economics, supply, demand, government's an invisible hand? You know about that?
Yes.
Okay, that one you want to take us aside, but the point I'm trying to make is it's good to see where the different things are, because one of the things I want to do, and I noticed that when the presentation was before I did this one, I noticed they had a program, and I'm not sure it was at your university, but it was somewhere there in Istanbul or Turkey, whatever. There was about a college, and what kinds of things they were doing and wanted to do next. And it was very interesting because what I think could be done is have the so-called MBA programs that are, do you have MBA programs, Masters in Business Administration?
Yeah, we do.
Well, what if we had some programs starting maybe at your university there on Masters of Circular Economics? And if you wanted to, add the word business, Masters of Circular Economics in business. And what I'm saying is, I think that's what's going to happen in the very near future, because people need to know what this is, how it works, and how they could actually get involved and do some things with it. And I'm certain there are people that are anxious to look at all of that and understand it more. I'm even going to be starting, I think, a journal called Circular Economics and some other things that are in that area, which I hope to get started next year.
Thank you.
No? Any other?
There is one question, but we have 30 seconds. Ayup is getting restless for the other one. One of our guests asked, isn't it possible to return to the old normal?
Well, which it depends what you define as the old normal. Remember, I'm a qualitative kind. I want to ask questions about words and numbers. And from my perspective, the old normal is the Adam Smith supply demand. That's what people talk about. Even I hear it all the time here in the United States and also from other countries. Oh, we got to get the supply chain back. We got to get things, you know. I'm thinking to myself, that's like the stupidest thing to do. That because it's just making things the same as it was before, which are polluting the earth, all of us, you know, frankly. And I can tell you that here in California, our governor here, actually right after this pandemic was coming to the United States, he closed down everything in the state of California, which is, by the way, the 5th largest economy in the world, and also is the biggest state in numbers and area in the United States. But that meant no more going to school, no more shopping, no more even going to a store, no one even going to the movie theaters. And that has been a big impact on the entire state. However, the number of cases of the COVID-19 has gone down in California, whereas in other states, it's continuing to go up even higher because they hadn't done that. They didn't take action, you know. And of course, the other thing is we all now have to wear masks when we go outside, you know, maybe even gloves in some cases too. And we have to not stay 6 feet away from people. We don't get, you know, together in crowds or whatever. So can't go out to dinner anymore and all that sort of thing. So.
Thank you so much, Woodrow. Thank you for the lovely presentation. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, and if anybody writes me an email, be sure you tell me where and how you know my name, because I'm not sure.
Yeah, we will do it in the private session.